the reason I transitioned was because I wanted to become a free person, a free man.
Right.
So, and I didn't feel there were any freedom in this group of individuals. I thought it was a very safe space and people were very closed off in some sort of way. Isn't it interesting also that this community that is supposed to be all inclusive creates really divided flags? This is your flag, this is your flag, this one's for you, and that one's for you. I don't really understand that.
Hey everybody, I caught myself another one and I'm super excited today because I don't really have a lot of guests like this on. So I'm starting to get more people like him reaching out to me, which just says the channel's growing and it says that people are starting to wake up on some level and wanting to add their voice into the mix of things that are happening in the trans space. So with that, thank you all for liking, subscribing. This channel is just blowing up and we're doing great work here. And again, as I say, it's not my channel, it's our channel. And so with this, I'm building a platform for freedom of speech and reality and all of the things I think that are missing today, not only in the trans space, but kind of in the world. So with that, I have this beautiful, handsome person here. His name is Emmett, and Emmett is going to introduce himself, and then we can move over on to the interview. So, hey, Emmett, I'm so excited to meet you.
Oh, sweet. It's so nice to meet you also, Buck. Yeah, I'm super excited. You meant a lot to me,
Oh,
very, very much to me, as when I transitioned back in 2012. So
wow.
I lived in England back then, but I'm from Sweden originally,
Okay.
and I grew up here. Before all the, when the mammoth was walking here, and there were no phones, smartphones and stuff. That I was allowed to, yeah, I was allowed to kind of. I think that's important. I was allowed to find myself,
Right.
and I think that's quite important. That sort of self-discovery and owning yourself. I was allowed to do that,
Yes.
and that's sort of sad today. I think. Thinking about it, the kids today being pushed in different directions. But sure, it was kind of lonely growing up, feeling very different from everyone else. But at least I had a chance to really think about who I am and what was going on with me.
That's
Yeah.
right. I mean, that's all I want. That's why I love having guys like you step up because I think that we need more role models like you as well for the young generation. And I think there's not a lot of older guys like us really just talking about our journeys as adults. So I want to go back a little bit here. So how old are you now today?
I'm 37, going to turn 38 in May.
Great. Great. And so you transition, let's see then, you transition in your early 20s, right?
Let's see, I was around 25,
Okay, yeah, that's
25-ish,
excellent.
25.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was, this gender dysphoria was constantly coming back. It was there as a young child, it was there as a teenager, and it came back even as an adult. And that's when I decided that something was going on with me. I was living in England at the time. I was working as a 3D animator. I worked with a lot with the video games in my life.
Great.
So it's quite a fun job to have, actually, quite creative. And it was a great job for me to have also because as a child, it was a great escapism to turn to video games. When I wasn't happy with myself, I could be someone else for a while. And that sort of also went down with my job afterwards a little bit, to have a job where you were a little bit more stuck in your mind.
Sure.
And that sort of things.
And
Yeah,
so
if you know what I mean.
did you transition when you were actually working in that position? Did you start your transition
Yeah.
at the job?
Yeah, I transitioned while I was working at Traveller's Tales in England.
How did
Yeah.
they receive you? Were they everybody cool about it or how did
Yeah,
it?
very cool about it. Very, very well.
Great.
I've had such a pleasant journey in that sort of sense. I've never ever met someone that hated me or been mean to me or anything like that, actually. So I've been quite lucky in that regard, I guess. Yeah, I'm very
Well, I
happy
mean, your
about that.
energy. You have really great, beautiful, calm, just love. I can feel your energy, friend. And so I think you're not being an angry person. And, I really think it's great for people to hear this because you can see how Emmett has beautiful, grounded energy. I can just feel it over the internet. But you probably had the same energy before. And that's why people didn't get mad at you or angry. You weren't going, my pronouns and get out of my way. And,
Oh,
you
like
were
that,
just
being quite calm about the whole thing. Yeah, not taking unnecessary space and pushing things just because of the sake of pushing it. Yeah.
great way to put it. Great way to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So,
So,
do you see a difference? So with that, do you, as a person who transitioned 12 years ago, which isn't, that's quite a bit of time under your belt. But do you see a difference in the people maybe of your age of 25 transitioning or younger? Do you see a different energy than when you transitioned?
Yeah, maybe there's a little bit more of, I think maybe today as a whole self-absorption and taking more space, and maybe there's more anger involved perhaps today,
Why?
I would say,
Why do you
among
think that?
people.
Do,
I'm not sure. Maybe it could be social media pushing people to their limits of all sorts, because social media is a lot about pushing the extremes, because that's what's being, I guess, the algorithms push it to the surface. Yeah,
I
I
agree
think that
with
could
you.
have a lot to do with it. Yeah, I do sense a lot of anger and
Yeah,
quite
me too.
resentment and taking up a lot of space. I think this Planet Fitness thing is quite a good example of that, of taking space because of
Yeah.
the sake of it. I also go to the gym, but I always shower at home. I make sure I live close to the gym, but I do go
See,
home and then shower. Yeah.
I told you all that many of us don't feel comfortable. I really hate to use the word, but I have to. A real gender dysphoric trans person is not going to get naked in the gym. They're just not going to do it. For years upon years, I changed at home, I went to the gym, I went back, and now
Mm.
when I have changed in the gyms all over the world, I always wear a towel. I never show my genitals. I always just make myself as least known as possible, because sometimes I'm traveling and I have to use the locker room. I don't have a choice.
Mm.
And so I really try to make it into a way that no one ever sees. I'll go in the stall and put my underwear on or off, whatever. You know what I mean? But my
Yeah.
point being is Emmett did exactly what I said, is that many of us have never used the locker room for that specific reason.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Not only for the courtesy for the other gym members, for myself also. Like, yeah,
That's
for
right.
everybody.
For
That's what I see. I
everybody.
see. I grew up during the Pokemon card boom, and the Pokemon boom, and I see sometimes that life is it's a bunch of Pokemon cards that you trade. If I'm allowed to do this, then I'll give you
Oh,
that, and we'll
great.
trade. Yeah,
Great.
and I'll
I
make sure
love
and not
that.
create a fuss, and I'll shower at home, and I'll just be happy that I can join at the gym. I'm
That's
happy with
excellent.
that and content, and I think
That,
that's also missing actually today. A lot of people feeling content with stuff,
great.
being happy and do that trade off. I'm allowed to do this, and then I'll make sure and give those people perhaps what they need. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude, you and I are very much in alignment, because that's what I keep saying. I say, as a transsexual, we are a small part of this world, and so we're sort of entering the world, and we have to not be so mean and angry, because in order for people to like us or give us a little space, we have to respect them as well, and that's how the world
Yeah.
works, people. That is literally how it works, and so that's how I have walked the world so easy. It seems the same with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I've
fantastic.
met super kind people. I lived in Poland also for a short space of time, and I only met lovely people there as well.
Great.
Genuine friends that accepted me for who I was, and
Yep.
and yeah,
Because
they
you're not
took.
pushing, you're not angry, you're not like, it is such a different thing that's happening. It's why I like to, have people like you on to show, like, you're just did your thing, and you're a part of society. You have a business, you have jobs, you work, you do all of these things, and you don't make a fuss out of the world. And I think it's so important that people see, because now we're going to give representation to what we really are, which is just trying to take care of our mental health and move forward in the
Yeah.
world and be happy people like everybody else on some level. I want to go back a little to your upbringing and tell me a little bit about your childhood and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of lonely in a way. I My mom and dad, they split up when I was around 11 years old, and I decided to stay with my dad. And he was sadly quite a bad alcoholic. And after he died in 2011, I discovered as well from my grandmother he also had issues with his gender identity, actually. So it could actually be something that's my granddad on my father's side. He had alcoholic problems as well. So this could actually be an issue that created that alcoholic
Sure. That
problem
makes a lot of
within the
sense,
family.
friend. Yeah,
Yeah.
generational trauma as well, because alcoholism is in my family as well. And so I'm so sorry about your dad, my friend.
Mm,
It's horrible.
yeah. It
But
was
maybe
really sad.
you think he might have
Mm.
been drinking because he was hiding stuff?
Yeah, I think that could have a lot to do with it, that he was very unhappy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I turned to food instead. as an early
Okay.
child as well. Lots of video games and food.
Okay.
That was kind of my way of handling my emotions. It's
Right.
not until very recent, actually, that I've understood that food is meant to be nutrition for the body. I've always seen food to handle my emotion. How can I
That's
handle my
right.
emotion with this food? Yeah.
That's right.
So really emotional eater. So I'm glad to be free from that. So that was a big part of my childhood, actually. Video
Okay.
games. I didn't have the best sort of diet.
Okay.
School was kind of lonely. You know, when you turn to the ages of 13, 14, the boys didn't want to hang out with me anymore because it wasn't cool to hang out with girls anymore.
That's right.
And the girls thought I was weird. So I always call myself that I was a little bit, if you know what a spork is.
No, tell us.
It's a spork is like these. It's not a fork and it's not a spoon. It's this sort
Oh,
of weird combination in between.
that's right. When I was in Sweden, I forgot. That's totally hilarious. I like the spork. That's so
Yeah,
awesome. What a great analogy. I love
yeah, yeah.
that.
So I was this kind of spork that where do you place it? It doesn't go there nor there. So it's just, yeah, I was this own kind of little thing. Yeah,
Brilliant. Brilliant,
during
friend.
school. So,
Okay.
but I've always sort of enjoyed, and I got used to a bit of a lonely life, and it makes me think a little bit of a guest you had before that was called Mina that I absolutely love.
Hmm.
So it's fantastic. She talked about being the lone wolf,
That's
and
right.
it's sort of also empowering to be able to deal and enjoy your own company. It's not totally a bad thing,
No.
actually.
It's very, very powerful. Let me
Mm,
tell you, when you can sit with yourself, when you don't need people around you, when you can function in the world by yourself, that is hugely powerful. And not a lot of people
mm.
can do that. Not a lot of people can
No,
just sit with themselves. And so, what the fact that you had such a lonely childhood is sad to me. But at the same time, it's the struggle kind of gave you this sort of independence, which I think on in some level you took it in the right direction, not in the sort of down direction. You used
yeah.
that pain to become more powerful. Wow.
Yeah, to be able to do my own thing and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it could have stuff like that can make people turn down a bad path as well. So
For
I'm
sure.
happy the way things have turned out actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
but
so
when I
so
got
was the loneliness so as you got a little bit older and when did that change? When did you feel less lonely and when did you feel more sort of like independent within yourself?
I think that started. I think I became very happy at the age of more. I moved to my mom from my dad's house, and then I
Okay.
moved to my mom for a bit, and that was during the school years when I'm 16 to 18. Is that what you call high school in
Yeah.
America?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so my high school years were amazing because that's when you decide a little bit what subjects you want to read, a student wants to read, and I got into the arts and stuff like that. So I guess I didn't become very comfortable perhaps with myself. I sort of dived into work instead and became very creative, and I forgot a little bit about myself in that sort of sense. Yeah, I dived in. I became a little bit of a workaholic instead, I guess, in the creative realm.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
and
I don't necessarily look at that as negative. Do you? Or do you look at it as more
no, no, it was a good thing.
right?
Workaholic is not the best sort of word because it's kind of negative connected, but I dived into the creative work of sculpting, and
Right.
it was a specific high school that concentrated on clay sculpting and the pottery wheel stuff.
Wow,
So
that's so
that is
great.
what I did.
As a high school person, really, Sweden is such a beautiful country, and I remember there's just so many great social programs that really concentrate on social stuff, and it's very focused towards the people, and you can really see that. I think even in the energy of the people there, and that's why it has become one of my favorite countries to visit because I do think it's about the welfare of the people and not the welfare of the government.
Sweet. Yeah, yeah, I do agree with you that it's
Because you all have this beautiful energy. Every Swedish person I know has the same beautiful energy that you
really.
have. It's just
Oh,
weird. It's like this beautiful. I'm like, how do you guys all have this energy?
oh, oh, weird. Oh, but that's very sweet to know. Oh, that's lovely.
It's true
Yeah,
though. It's really
that's
my observation of it. And okay, so now you're a workaholic, which is actually a good thing. And going out of high school, what happens?
a friend then told me that, hey, Emmett, if you can sculpt in clay, why don't you sculpt video game characters? You like video games, right? And I thought to myself, well, why haven't I ever thought about that, playing so much video games? I never thought people create them.
Yeah.
So I applied for a school later in Sweden in 2007 to become I started off actually with my intentions of become a graphic artist to sculpt in the computer, but then realized that 3D animation and the psychology of the people, and it's a little bit of acting and stuff like that. I was better at it, and it interested me more, and I became really good at it. So I decided to become a 3D animator instead. And I got an internship in England. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah.
Wow. So, you got an internship in England, and then that's when you moved there?
Yeah, and that's when I moved over there, and I had a long internship there, and after that I got a job at Traveller's Tales in England. I started off in Manchester, and Traveller's Tales was located in Knutsford.
Okay, great.
So it was a very lovely small little town. So yeah, that was a really lovely, great journey. Yeah, for sure. My
So
travels.
how many years? So what year did you go to the UK from Sweden?
That was 2008.
So from 2008 until what time were you living as a female?
Yeah, I was living as a female at the time. Yeah, at the beginning in the UK as well.
Okay. And then, so you're working these jobs, and your life seems pretty okay. Yeah, what's going on with you mentally?
Yeah, mentally it was the thoughts of being a guy always came back. Of feeling jealous, when I was with friends it was a clothing store, I think, and I wanted. And I just thought to myself, I wish I was a guy. There's so much cooler clothes and stuff like that. And I said to myself loudly, and coming home from Traveller's Tales also, I was really wishing to be the other gender so much. It was coming back, and I thought to myself, when I was quite heavy in my thoughts, and I thought to myself, I can't believe that my coworkers get home a Friday night wishing they were the opposite gender. It's just not what everyone does. And that's when I started to realize that this is some really strange and strong thoughts. And eventually I thought to myself, well, if I can't live as a man, I don't want to live anymore at all. And I caught myself thinking, I've never been thinking a thought like that ever before. So it scared me a little bit. And that's when I've seen some documentaries before, but I came back and saw an episode actually of Dr. Phil, and it was a documentary also that I saw that included you and some other individuals too. And it helped me to realize I didn't even know what a transsexual was fully until that moment. And I thought really loudly to myself, oh no, I'm one of those really weird ones. That's what I thought to myself.
Well, we are weird, but because that's how we were portrayed. That's how we were sort of portrayed as weird people. That's funny. I'm one of those
like
weird.
The really deep waters here of weird, and I really knew that if I was gonna go ahead with the hormones and surgeries, I knew my life is not gonna be the same, and that things might be difficult. But I knew already that I was used to my own company, and I could take it if that was needed, But I think that's what a lot of youngsters miss today, realize that the life can be quite difficult. Maybe not for everyone, I'm not sure, but I think it can be quite a tricky life, and maybe it's not what everyone thinks it is. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, friend. More people need to say that to the young generation. They think this is easy, and they think it's just a 1, 2, 3, and now magically a man, and everything else will go. Because if they forget that, you're just switching problems. You think that there's not going to be any problems? Of course there is. You're just switching the kind of problems you're going to have. So I don't think we're being truthful to these young people. So when you say that, I very much appreciate you saying that, because you're being honest about this, And so you were thinking about it. You saw the show, and then you said, "Oh gosh, I could actually become a man." And so then what happened?
And then I called my mom immediately and just said, "Hey mom, it's just not going away. It's just coming back. I'm not feeling like a woman. I just feel like a man all the time. It's coming back, like haunting me. And I don't really know fully what it is. I think it's called transsexualism, and my mom said she was gonna look it up, and she always took it really well as well, and wasn't really surprised about it really. Right. And I also spoke to my local GP where I was living in England there, and she sent me to a psychiatrist in Mobley to start off with, and that psychiatrist passed me on to Dr. Curtis Gender Clinic in London after that.
Great. Wow. You see, you went through a system. You
Hmm.
actually were like, "Hey, did this person feels like that's what I'm taught. We need that system back. That system is called safekeeping. It's not a bad thing. How do you feel about that situation?
I felt it was really good. It was like a step-by-step process all the time, and the waiting time from one thing to happen to another wasn't way too long. It felt like it was a process, and that I could keep along step by step. And Dr. Curtis, he didn't prescribe me hormones immediately. He said he noticed that I was really sad about my father's passing, and he said, I would like you to discuss a little bit more of those emotions with Sui, that was a therapist. So I had to go to therapist meetings with Sui before I could come back to London and get prescribed hormones. So I think he did a really mature and nice, good decision, as a doctor should,
Thank you.
over in London there. Yeah.
So you had to go back to the therapist, and how long were you at the therapist for? Do you?
I think I needed 5 sessions or something. If it was a
Okay,
period of,
great,
of 2 months or so,
great,
2 or 3 months maybe.
to assess you. And do you remember sort of how old you were around that time? In your 20s? Late
Around
20s?
that time, I was around 20, yeah, 25-ish,
Yeah, I think, yeah,
25, 26.
which is a great age. Excellent. That's right. Okay, so now, then they send you back to the UK to Dr. Curtis. Yep.
Yeah, yes, they did. And I saw him again, and he was happy with the progress that I did with Sustui. They had contact with each other about my
Great,
progression there.
great,
And I think at that time, then he prescribed me hormones. Yeah,
great.
he did. So, and those hormones, I was allowed to take them for at least half a year before he would give like a certificate to get a top surgery, a double mastectomy. Yeah,
Great, great.
and that was quite a difficult time, I have to say, because to be on hormones and still have this chest to work with,
That's right.
you sort of feel. You don't feel like a spork, then you feel a little bit like a creepy monster, almost a bit. Yeah, the cute spork is gone. It's just a bit creepy monster. You feel like you're sort of in between in a creepy way almost, because it is also. I don't want to cause a fuss for other people. I noticed that people struggled to know what I was, and it was creating rings on the water that I didn't like. I didn't like that people didn't know what I was. I thought
That's
that was uncomfortable. Yeah, so that was a very difficult time.
right.
And people made a lot of, felt like they had to apologize. I didn't make them apologize. They just thought they misgendered me when they said he, and then when I spoke, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, she," and it's just like, no, don't be sorry, it's okay. Like, yeah,
Wow,
and
beautiful. What I mean, I'm so happy you're saying that because I don't get this idea that you could be so angry if somebody misgenders you. It's just a normal part. First off, it's a normal part of transitioning. But secondly, because you could change your mind in these 6 months. So this period of adjustment is very important because you could change your mind. You could actually say, well, you know what? I just don't think I can handle looking like this way. And then enough safety zone there for you to actually, maybe there's not a lot of damage from the hormones and you haven't had top surgery. So if you
yeah,
decide to change your mind, you're still going to go back to that body. And so
yeah,
yeah, this is a very beautiful story of transition because it's just so, it's so safety net, and it's what I encourage for everybody. So I sorry to cut you off. I just love that part that you said. Even though people were mixed up, you were just so generous with that. You were generous in saying, "Don't worry," and that makes people feel comfortable. It doesn't make them get all weird about us. It makes them go, "Oh, okay, I guess it is okay."
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. So I never did any pushbacks, stuff like that. And what more? But it was a difficult time. I remember inside you struggle quite a bit still sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. And it was a time I went a lot to the gym. Actually, I met a lot of friends through the gym, and still important to go and take care of your mind and body, even though you go through a difficult time. Maybe it's actually extra important because it can be very strugglesome mentally. So it's good to still go to the gym and don't be afraid of being out and about. Actually, yeah.
I agree. That's one of the biggest parts of it is really just learning how to walk the world and navigate it. And I think that struggle is what makes you stronger, right? Struggle makes you stronger. They keep saying struggle isn't good. Struggle is actually really good because it does
Yeah,
help you to get to that next level. And then you realize how stupid like the things you thought were like but it really wasn't because it's all in your mind, right? It's once you get past all of this, people are looking at me. I know I look like a girl. I know my hands are small. I know there's all these things that are
mm,
going through our head. But once you sort of just realize people aren't even paying attention to you, they're in their
yeah,
own they're in their own stuff. But we as trans people, I think we're always worried that someone notices we don't have an Adam's apple, right? Or we don't have what women
yeah.
have, right? So
Yeah,
that's great.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's another thing actually, a body thing and a confidence thing. You've been talking a lot about, it took a while for me actually to, if I'm really honest, to sort of sober up and sort of admit and understand and embrace that I'm a biological woman. Because in the beginning, actually, I was was in my head. I think it was because I wasn't happy about my body either. So I was really in my head about I am a man all the way through. But now, since I've lost weight and I've sort of not only accepted my body, I've actually starting to love my body.
Great.
And it's okay that it's a female body, I love it. But I think that
Beautiful.
it's taken me a long time actually to sort of sober up to that realization, if you know what I mean. I think it is a confidence thing,
Yes.
connection to the body. Yeah,
It is so
in a way.
huge. That's always been my
Yeah,
platform. It's like, we can only change so much. We can't change everything, okay? You can't.
yeah,
It's not possible. What you can change and what you can't, right? To accept the things you cannot change. But change the things you can, some things can't. Then you got to work through that. So that's why I just love that you accept your biology and then you now love your body because you're like, it's your body. It's nobody else's.
yeah.
And you're only going to be able to do so much. And then do you want to be struggling for the rest of your life because you don't like your hands? Like I always had this weird thing about my
Mm,
hands. Like everybody, I have lady hands. I have lady feet. And then I thought, no, it's only me in my own mind thinking that.
yeah. Being too critical. Yeah, exactly. And what a beautiful thing when you realize I don't have to care about this shit. I can move on with my life. I don't have to care about my hands. Who
Not
wants to care
even.
about hands anyway?
I know it's so funny because that's our dysphoria. It comes
Yeah.
out in weird, ways that can actually be on some level very crippling, and that's why you
Hmm.
have to walk through those things because I can never change my hands. They're just the way they
Yeah.
are, right? But I could change
Yeah.
my appearance like you. I could change myself to look like a man like you, and I could remove. So when did you move forward on your top surgery?
Yeah. So 6 months after I was prescribed those hormones, I was allowed to do the top surgery
Okay,
then. So that was like a year from the process of almost starting it all.
great.
So it is fairly quick. It is still enough buffer time, like you mentioned, to actually go back if there would have been any regrets, which was really good.
Yes.
But yeah, so I went ahead with that top surgery, and it was a really good feeling. I've mentioned this to my friend. That's kind of interesting. That it almost reminded me what it was like when I was a child, because that's the only reference I have of sort of looking like a guy. That was when I was a child before puberty happened.
Right. That's right.
So that was actually a strong thought that I had. That it
Right.
almost brought me back to childhood sort of
Wow.
feelings. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but that is a strong memory that I have, and
Well,
it
it's not
was
weird. You know
freedom.
why it's not weird? Because on some level, I say we're going through another puberty, right? We're kind of
Mm.
going. We're getting to have the puberty or the adolescence that we didn't get to have. We didn't get to be little boys, right? On some level. So when you're going through this transition in the early days, it's sort of like you're reinventing yourself and going through that space that you didn't get when you were 16 or 17 or even younger than that. So I think it's very
Yeah,
beautiful that you actually got to
yeah, true.
connect, yeah, with your body.
Mm. Yeah, so that is. It was a fantastic surgeon as well. He was so good, and I think that's another important thing to mention for people. Any kind of surgeon, doesn't matter what sort of plastic surgery you decide to do. It's so important to look up the plastic surgeon. You can look a little bit about their history and their reputation. A consultation should take at least 45 minutes to an hour, so
Right,
they can
right,
present their early work and
right.
things like that. If they can't do that, you might want to rethink and go someplace else. Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Thank
there's
you.
some good surgeons out there. There's some
Right.
really wonderful ones, but there's some really bad ones, like in any job. there can be someone that are not so serious as well.
Yeah, I think now we have some, here in the United States, we have some really, really just disgusting surgeons who don't even hardly do a consultation. They charge like a lot of money for the consultation, and then they're
Yeah.
just like pretty much, okay, sure, looking at you. Oh yeah, I can do it. 20 minutes, and then they just are running these kids through it. It's like a surgery mill, if that makes sense. Or just like literally doing
Conveyor
like,
belt. Yeah.
it's crazy. They do like 3 to 4 surgeries a day. A day.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh man,
I,
it's
yeah.
heartbreaking. It's
It
heartbreaking.
is.
You
Yeah.
can't get your breasts back. You cannot get those
No.
back ever. Ever,
No.
dude. Wow,
Will
it's
never be
shocking.
the same.
Nope,
Yeah.
never.
Yeah. It is. And how awful it must be for those individuals. It makes me really sad.
Me
And that
too.
goes again. If if I were to trade, I know how desperate I was back then. Of course, you become very desperate when you realize there's like a cure and there's help to get. But if I would have known then also like to sacrifice some more time before my transition, just in case so we don't have someone falling through the cracks, I wouldn't mind that. I don't think.
Yeah,
I think it's really important because it
me
must
too.
be so horrible for those poor detransitioners
Dude,
that
that's why your story is so important. You went through an actual system, and you're 12 years later, solid in your space, don't even think about those kinds of things. And why are we putting children through this in such a fast? That's why I'm saying, why would we have such a beautiful system? We built this beautiful, amazing safeguarding system to today where we have no system and anyone is trans, and 20 minutes you can have your boobs cut off, and no one's even thinking about the future. These are 16 and 15-year-old people. They're not 20
yeah.
something. These are 15-year-olds.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's just and you can't even really get a consultation for a tattoo at that age. So it's just so strange. And actually today in Sweden, it's I think it will be on the 17th this month. I will let you know because there will be a big decision for the Swedish government to pass through a law that will lower the age for from 18 to 16 to change your. I don't know what it's like in America, but we have our social security numbers in Sweden is connected to our
Yes,
gender.
here too.
It's the
Yes,
same in America as
yes,
well, right?
yes.
Yeah, and they're gonna pass down a law perhaps to make it easier for people to change that social security number by just self-identifying. Uh,
Oh wow.
yeah, just anything,
Oh
and
wow,
it's
dude.
yeah lowering that from 18 to 16
Wow, they
and
are
making
making
it
a
also.
huge
It's a
mistake.
mistake. Yeah,
What?
it's a recipe for disaster, and it's a lot of actually news article popping up. I was watching the news just before I came on here with you as well. There's a lot of talk about this. Is it called legislation or like this sort of
Sure.
law they're passing now? Yeah, that they're starting to get second thoughts now. So hopefully it won't be passed through. I really hope it won't be.
My
It's
God.
and also Sweden has a lot of problem with quite bad criminals as well. The Swedish system, I don't think any system is designed for this because
Nope.
criminals can use this to hide their
There you
past,
go.
and yeah, use it to just trick the system in so many ways. It's just not designed to
Nope.
to work. It
It's
won't
not.
work. It just won't.
That's one of
Yeah,
the
it just
reasons
won't.
why we shouldn't do it, not only for safeguarding our actual trans people, but also to safeguard our systems. Because anyone can, well, they're doing that here already because we did pass stupid laws like that. In California, you can self
Yeah.
ID as a trans person. So people in prison system here are men in prison who are saying, oops, I'm a trans woman. I need to go to the women's prison. And then they're being transferred to the women's prison. These are like people who've done horrible, horrible crimes, like horrible crimes,
Yeah.
and assault towards women, and being housed with women now, and then doing that at the women's prison, and everyone's just acting like trans women are women. I'm like, but wait a minute,
And
you
a
just
minute
opened.
here.
Oh my God, dude, they opened such a dangerous hole, dangerous
Pandora's
hole.
box, totally. Yeah, it is totally Pandora's box. Yeah, it's gonna break the Swedish system in so many brutal ways,
My
and
God.
I really don't hope it follows through. Otherwise, I think the Swedish system seems pretty good because hormones is 18 plus. They've changed the website because last time when I saw some episode with you, I looked upon the Swedish healthcare site and then it said that they did prescribe hormones to children in rare cases. but that is gone now. The website is now updated. It's strictly now 18 plus, which is really good.
The whole of EU
So,
did that. You know that every country in the EU did that because they
oh, so
realized, yeah,
it's
after Tavistock got busted and Stonewall and all those weird places in the UK, they got busted for lying about how it was helping kids when it wasn't, and so they passed laws pretty much all over the EU that stopped childhood transition until the age of 18. So that's a great thing.
yeah, that's really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I still think
So
18 is young, but that's just
it
me.
is.
I prefer 18 rather than 16 because between the ages of
Yeah.
16 and 18, you still have that buffer and they could still change their mind and not go. And I think more than not, they're going to change their mind and not go through the transition.
Very true. Yeah, I agree that 18 is also it's on the very young
It is.
adulthood side. So, but like you say, yeah, definitely better than 16 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will definitely keep you updated about what that decision happens in the Swedish
Appreciate it.
Riksdag.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So let's get back to this situation where you have your top surgery. Now, how are you feeling? What's going on?
I feel really good actually about that. I prepared so well for the surgery. I went to the gym so much. I did something called Les Mills body pump, lifting some weights. You being a great inspiration as well. Like
Thank you.
Angel takes care of his body. I want to
Excellent.
take care of mine as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, still having issues with food addiction during this time. So I was like taking one step forward and two steps back, so a little bit still. But I did my best, and I was still pretty healthy. I was very strong. I just didn't know how to eat right. Yeah, but I was very good at the gym, and I never really either felt very connected to the LGBT community in what's called Canal Street in Manchester as well.
Yeah.
I think that's something with me also. I struggle to feel at home in any group, and especially if the group is bigger. The bigger the group is, the smaller, and I feel that I don't belong for some reason. But that is not just LGBT group. It's just like any groups, really. It's just
I
something I
think
think
that's
that goes on
great.
with me.
I think that's great. Well, I'm going to go back to your childhood when you grew up in a situation where you were very, lonely, which gave you this idea of independence as far as I'm concerned. I actually think that's a powerful thing that you don't feel like you have to be a part of any group. And so I
Yeah.
think I'm looking at it in a more positive way, I suppose, because what is community, Emmett? What do you
Yeah,
even,
that is
yeah.
it's a word that's being used quite a lot today, and I'm not sure either. Like you say, what does that actually mean anymore? I'm not sure actually. So,
That's right.
and I thought to myself, the reason I transitioned was because I wanted to become a free person, a free man.
Right.
So, and I didn't feel there were any freedom in this group of individuals. I thought it was a very safe space, and people were very closed off in some sort of way. Isn't it interesting also that this community that is supposed to be all inclusive creates really divided flags? This is your flag. This is your flag. This one's for you, and that one's for you. I don't really understand that, and it also made me wonder. I just have to say a little bit where these colorful flags come from, because I read the Satanic Bible of Anton LaVey, and he mentioned that he didn't want to live the colorless life. He wanted to live the colorful life. And the flag, I hate that word also, the cis flag, it's black and white and grayscale. That's a colorless life, I guess. That's just how I see the whole thing.
Wow, I didn't even know there was a cis flag. First off, secondly, it's black and white and gray.
Yeah, as far as I
How
understand what I've
dare
seen.
they? Because the
Yeah,
cis, because the cis, who I refuse to use that word, the cis people don't want to be cis and they don't care about it. So who created the cis flag?
yeah, yeah. I really
Trans
wonder
people.
these things.
I will guarantee you it's that trans culty community that created that flag for them. And then they created it in that very blase, yucky, you know what I mean? Just really nothing. It all
Mm.
makes sense to me now. I didn't even realize. So when the kids or the younger generation see that flag and then they see a beautiful, colorful, crazy, you think they're going to go
Mm.
towards that dark flag or they're going to go towards that colorful? Everything is
Oh
happy.
yeah, that's true. It's
Yes,
like almost marketing in a way,
it is exactly
marketing
what it.
a life or something.
Wow, dude.
And
Wow.
actual the trans life that can be the most perhaps the difficult one and to live
That's right.
has these sort of washed out cutesy tootsie colors as well to it.
Wow. Wow, wow,
When you think
wow.
about it, yeah,
That's fucking
it is
crazy.
fascinating why they choose the colors they do on these different flags. So
Yeah.
I realized early that I thought this LGBT community, it didn't feel very inclusive like they said. It felt very divisive actually to me, and I wanted to go and try my wings and just learn to live without that in my life. I want to be with everybody. That's
That's
how I
right.
felt. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Because that's, I think, a true, real transsexual person, like us, we just want to be dudes and walk the world that way. And however that
Yeah,
is, we don't
and be
need
with
that
people.
community. Yeah, that's why I
Mm.
think community is a false kind of space. I don't really think community actually exists. I believe it's kind of puts you into this idea that this is how you have to be, or you're not part. So they really focus that so that if you don't kind of go along with them, then you're not a part of. Because that what is it, diversity, inclusion, all of that, that's not real. That is not true. It is not an inclusive community. It is in fact exclusive. If they don't want you there, unless you're willing to sort of march and step with them.
In the name of the colors. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
sort of thing. Yeah. So that was something that I noticed quite early on, that it was something that I didn't really want to be
Mm-hmm.
part of too long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my idea after that was to move back to Sweden, uh, because some stuff happened with work. They moved our department, the cutscene department. They moved to a different town from
Okay.
Knutsford to Wilmslow, and I didn't enjoy my time in Wilmslow very much. I tried it, but
Okay.
decided to move home, and then I got contacted by CD Projekt Red, that is a video game company in Poland, in Warsaw.
Wow.
And I did an animation test for that company and got the job. So I decided, I should try and move to Poland, because that is as far, a deturn from this soft little community over here. And I just want to be on my own in Poland. That is kind of known to perhaps be a difficult place to be, what you heard, perhaps for trans people or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But it was a lovely experience, actually. Uh, One
Of
thing that
course.
was a little difficult
Uh-huh.
was that my Dr. Curtis in London, he said that England was part of the EU back then. So he
Right.
said that if you move to Poland, I can still prescribe you your hormones. Just come and visit me once a year.
Oh, wow.
But it only took a couple of months after I moved to Poland. I got a letter that I'm closing my clinic, and I'm not taking any responsibility for where my patients go next.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So then and that was quite horrifying, because now I was in Poland, not knowing where to get hormones anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
so scary.
that was a little scary actually, because I was a little worried how to sort things out. But I got so much lovely help from a friend that I got with me today, Tomasz, who
Oh,
worked at HR department at City Project. He helped me so much with those difficult things. I wouldn't be able to have made it without him, without his help
fantastic.
there. So
Wow.
he helped me a lot, and yeah, so it was a good time. It was difficult with the language barrier. I felt a little lonely in Warsaw. I did my best with work,
Sure.
but it was quite a short time. I moved there 2016, and I moved back to Sweden after 2018. So it was a short visit. Poland was a difficult time
Yeah.
for me
Yeah, but again, it's a
mentally.
struggle. These
Mm.
struggles are only building you up to be this very confident human that you seem very confident in yourself. And, finding how to get testosterone. People, this is the thing that the generation now needs to hear. You can, I don't know about over there, but here you can go on the internet, dude, and 20 minutes, you can say, I'm trans, and they will write you a prescription and send you a box of testosterone. I'm like, and these are
Really?
16-year-olds because you don't need your parents' consent. I'm like, what? This is so
Oh my
sick. And they
goodness.
don't even know.
Yeah,
They're dangerous hormones. They are very dangerous.
yeah. And when such young individuals got it, I don't know what it can be like, but maybe they perhaps share it with someone that isn't finished with their
That's right.
healthcare path to be at that stage to get them,
That's right.
because things like that can happen.
Oh my God, a lot of that.
Also,
There's a trans woman here who boasts about, if you can't get your hormones, contact me and I'll get hormones for you underground. I'm like, this person needs to be in
what?
jail. Yeah, totally,
Yeah, that's a
totally.
crime.
That's a
I
crime.
Yeah, that is totally a crime. In England, I know it's class A drugs. Testosterone is the same class A as morphine or
That's
amphetamine
right.
or something like
Same
that.
here.
Many years in jail.
That's right.
It
Same
is,
here.
yeah.
And she's just boasting about it. And everyone's like, what? You freak? And like reporting her, but she's still talking about it like no one cares. I'm like, how is someone, that's a drug dealer. That is an actual drug
Yeah,
dealer as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
Like,
totally,
and
fully.
she's
Oh,
targeting
that's
a young
crazy.
generation of kids. It's so
Oh, that's
weird.
sad. I don't understand what it's come to, being
Me
like
neither.
this. It's Yeah, it's really crazy. It's unbelievable what it's turned out to be. This incredible, crazy shit show, actually.
Right
Of,
on.
yeah, with
It is.
young people getting prescribed, not having the time to think stuff through, and yeah,
So what do
this
you think? What do you think as a person who is an adult, who transitioned as an adult, who's clearly living a great life from their transition? It's why you're important to this conversation because I want people to see that we do exist. We're not all crazy wingnuts, and this is a medical condition, and we do need to have our medicine because we're being now represented by those crazy people. So me and you get lumped
yeah,
into that, and then they're eventually going
yeah,
to go, "There's no such thing as trans people. It's all an illusion," and then we're not going to be able to get our medication. I'm telling you, it's that's why
it's
we have.
awful.
It's
Yeah, it
awful.
feels terrible. Just like you say, being lumped into that sort of madness of what's going on.
That's right.
Not not
No.
feeling we're so far from those thoughts and ideas that anyone
Yes.
could be with being sensible about it, and those it's sadly it's the voices of the craziness that's being heard typically by social media and stuff like that. That's
Right.
usually what's being brought to the surface. And
That's
how do
right.
you fight that?
You
It's
can't.
yeah, it's
Well, other
gassy.
than
Yeah.
doing what you and I are doing here, but even that is
Mm,
very difficult because I am very ostracized from the trans community. They hate me and they call me all kinds of names and they try to shut my voice down. And that's what I want people to see. You don't do that to an elder of this community. It's not
no.
that I need to be both. I don't need to be put on a pedestal. I don't need any of that. What I need is respect to the
Mm,
generation, and I respect my elders. If it wasn't for them, I would not be sitting here today. And you have to respect that. Whether I agree with whatever's going on doesn't matter. But they're
yeah.
teaching them to attack people like you and I, and to say that what
Mm,
we're saying is not true, and transsexualism is, and I'm just like, that says to me that it's not the same path you and I took. It's something else.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, is
Absolutely. You carry so much knowledge as well. If it's so important to listen to like, someone like you that has so many years of going through this
it
and
just shocks
like you've
me.
said before, you were also quite were you in your 30s when you transitioned? I can't
30,
remember what.
exactly 30 years
Yeah,
old when I
and
started my
yeah,
transition. Yes.
and here you are also happy and well, and it was okay to be 25 and 30 and do this. It's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you show the same thing that I show is maturity, structure, taking care of yourself. We're not asking the world for anything, and in fact, we want to give the world something. We're not taking from the piggy bank. We're adding to the piggy bank. That's why it's so important that you sit here today, and I'm going to thank you again, Emmett, because I want people to see that representation. The trans community isn't giving us a space to say, hey, wait a minute here. They don't want us to say the things that we're saying. But it's so important that you speak your story because your story is what I'm trying to show. When you give a person an opportunity to do this, they have to be in the frame of mind of an adult. They have to have gone through puberty. They have to have gone through maybe a little struggle in their life. And then you get to do this. And then look at you. You're just thriving. You're just incredible to me. I mean, the stuff you've done in your business and your career. And so is your career now animation? Is that what you do, or 3D?
It's not animation anymore, actually. I'm taking a little bit of a different route now.
Okay,
I worked actually as a teacher, teaching animation also for 4 years since I moved back home to Sweden.
great.
But since I've lost weight, I did some keto and some intermittent fasting, and that worked for me. That's fantastic for anyone who wonders if you've got
Yep.
addiction and you're an emotional eater. Intermittent fasting and keto is the shit.
It is.
I think
It
it's so
is.
good.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So after I've done that, and felt so incredibly happy with myself. I value life and myself. I've even
Right.
become afraid of flying because I'm afraid of dying because I love my life so much now. Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, I developed a fright for flying. I never had before, but now I do. And I would actually like to have a job that is a little bit more connected to the physical world because I've had a job where I've been so, I've had a job where I've been in my imagination, mentally just creating things with my imagination, my gender identity based upon an imaginary picture of what I think I am. And so I just want to take a different route and have a job that is a little bit more connected to health and body. And I would like to study to become a dietitian, perhaps a personal trainer, but definitely a dietitian would be really fun
Brilliant.
to do and help other people in that sort of same situation. I would like to find an education that focuses on the cognitive bit, how food is connected with behavior
Totally.
and stuff like that.
That's
That would be
excellent.
lovely. That really sparks an energy in me that animation used to do. And also with AI today, it's they've released like a new AI engine called Sora where you can create text to video. So
Yeah.
actually, the CEO of DreamWorks, he thought that 90% of the animation jobs might disappear in not too long of a future.
Well,
So
of
I
course.
thought to yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I thought to myself that I better look and see what other avenues I can do.
You're so smart.
Yeah.
You're so smart. You're a
So
survivor.
try and do that now.
No, you're a survivor,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Literally, you're so smart. You're ahead of the game. Okay, now I'm just gonna have to change courses here, right? That
Hmm.
just says so much about you, my friend, because you're not gonna be like, "Wow, I'm gonna lose my job," and I'm gonna have. Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm gonna actually turn the corner here and go
Yeah,
in
and do
this way.
this
But I
instead.
think also
Yeah.
having a passion for what you do, you can totally burn out. I burned out on stuff before. I changed myself many times, right? Because I'm like, oh, I don't like doing that anymore. I'm gonna try this thing, and I want to try. And then the community came after me, and I was making products, and they're like, boycott Buck Angel, and I'm like, you go right ahead. I'll just find a different customer base.
Mm,
So I'm like,
right.
you're
Yeah,
not gonna take
exactly.
me out.
No, no, exactly. Oh, that's so sweet, Buck. Yeah,
But
that's
it
really
just said
nice.
again, it says, and that's why you're a role model to these young kids because I think they need to see how, first off, your journey is and how you do have to struggle to get there, but at the same time, you're not a baby and you're not
Mm.
asking for anything. You're totally taking care of yourself. And wanting to be a dietitian and a sort of trainer or whatever is so brilliant because you know. So that's what makes the best trainers and it makes the best dietitians because you lived it. You understand
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying? And that's why you'll be
yeah,
so good at it.
yeah. Hopefully so. Yeah, I hope so.
I
To
think
share
so.
your own struggles with it. Yeah, because you have something perhaps to connect with the clients. Yeah, and have a source of understanding
That's right.
there regarding the food addiction. Yeah, so I
It's
think
a
that can be beneficial for sure.
well,
Yeah.
oh my God, dude. So again, there's your struggle that you're turning. You're not making the glass half empty. You're making the glass half full. You're like, okay, you
Mm.
know what? Like, oh, I struggled with my food addiction, which is horrible. Food addiction is It's just like alcoholism. It's the
Yeah. Yeah.
same thing. I struggle with food too. I still do, because I have emotional eating. If I
Mm.
sit in front of the TV, dude, I can't sit in front of the TV without a bag of chips. It's why I don't watch
Right.
TV and why I don't buy potato chips.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Oh,
I'm
sweet.
like, nope, not buying those. I eye them all the time when I'm at the market. I'm like, dude, just don't do it.
Oh, yeah, but the potato chips are nice for sure. Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah,
danger.
combine the salt and the sweety stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, I
uh,
love that stuff. I can
yeah,
literally sit and eat a whole bag of chips without even thinking twice. But it's that emotional eating, and you're eating without
yeah,
even thinking about it. And next thing you know, the whole bag
yeah.
is gone.
Then it's gone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
it is
horrible.
tricky. So there's probably a lot of people that I could hopefully help as a dietitian in the future. I
I
really
believe
hope
that.
so. That is a dream of mine.
I believe it. I totally believe it. And wow, so today you just seem so beautiful and balanced and everything that I dream for the younger generation. You're a younger guy than me, so I get to say that. But that being said, it's everything I dream for. I want you to be happy and successful, and because you're a sort of on some level a representation of what the world needs to see. Because when they see more people like you, they say, "Oh, I get the difference between a transsexual guy who was dealing with all this stuff and got it together, and then this stuff that's all flags and trans joy and marching in the street like crazy and yelling and punching people and." That's not trans. That's something else.
that is definitely something else. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's yeah, it's very strange sort of behavior because I've never really felt the need to the world to see me in such a way, in that sort of craziness way.
that's
Yeah,
right.
I just
That's right.
want people to see me as a as a guy,
That's
and
right.
that's where that's it. Yeah,
That's
and
gender
pretty much.
dysphoria right there in a nutshell. That's
Mm,
transsexualism. That's all of everything I've been trying to tell people. You need to see the difference here because I don't think people see enough of us and they see because those people it's weird, isn't it? Because it's really the minority with the loudest voices and it's the internet. I believe it's the internet.
mm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I
Dangerous.
think internet, social media ruins a lot of things for a lot of people in
Yes.
so many different areas. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think it's good for us. I think it makes us lonely. It makes us sad. And when we're lonely, we turn to bad food or
Yeah.
alcohol or whatever.
Whatever.
Lack
Drugs.
of
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
and lack of real intimacy and yeah, and real community and actually in a way to actually be with people for real in
Oh
sort
my
of
God, I
sense.
say it all the time. Get
If you know what I mean.
outside. No, of course.
Mm.
I'm like, no, go. Put it down. Get outside. Walk. I do it every day. I take my dog for 2 walks a day, and I meet people. I say hi to everybody. People think I'm like some crazy dude, but I'm like, hey. And I'm like, next thing you know, I've made so many friends that I don't even know who these people are. But every day we see each other, we chat, and it just gives me this feeling of happiness because I'm making eye contact, and I don't know these people, but we're so like cool with speaking about stuff, and I think that's what we're missing a lot of
Mm.
is we don't have actual real human connection. We have electronic,
Yeah.
which is so creepy, man.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're designed for that. You know,
No.
there's a term used in Japan that's called hikikomori. Have you heard of
Yes.
hikikomoris?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think to myself, you know, I don't think hikikomoris are sick. I think they're absolutely healthy.
Yes.
They're showing what a human being needs, and
That's right.
they need real connection, and they can't
That's right.
handle a society when you have to fake your emotions for a job all the time and
That's
things like
right.
that.
It's
Yeah, so I always see hikikomoris as healthy people. You're
yes.
actually displaying healthy human needs.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. I mean,
in a
they have
way.
all these dolls that you can buy now, right? And then like instead of a man getting like a girlfriend, he gets a doll, and it's a doll that he can program AI, so it says everything he needs to say, and he's not having any human interaction. These are real. I went to a
Ah,
conference of for my business, and there must have
all
been
right.
20 booths, all from China, and they all were
Yeah.
those life-size AI robotic dolls that look
Mm.
like real women, dude. I was like,
Really, holy shit.
I know. My skin was crawling. I was taking pictures and
Yeah,
sending them to all my friends. Like, dude, you're not even gonna believe this. This is like an actual
yeah,
doll.
yeah.
And then one of them looked like
Shit.
me. I was like, this is actually
No.
freaking me out right now,
Oh my goodness.
dude.
It is a mix of fascinating and scary as well because I watch a YouTube channel called Sam Vaknin, and he talks a lot about narcissism in society today.
Okay.
And I think it really steps in a little bit to that, to have
Yes.
like an AI girlfriend or boyfriend that just attends to my needs, doesn't argue with me what
That's
I decide to
right.
watch on the TV.
That's right.
So there won't be that Pokemon card deal about, darling, if we
Yes.
do this, I'll give you
Yes.
that. So it's just a society that becomes more about me, and my needs, and it
Oh
is a bit
wow.
uncomfortable actually.
Oh
Yeah.
God, the narcissism is out of control. Out of control. That's one of the biggest problems I think today is the narcissistic behavior, and people aren't
Mm.
understanding what that is actually. But let's hope something changes soon, because if not, we don't have much longer to make sure we start pulling back on that before we've gone over the deep end, and then we're never coming back from it. You can't reel it in once it's already out there,
Ah,
dude. Forget it. So
too far gone.
too far gone.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get it
Yeah.
back. That's the part
The
that
fishing
scares
line
me.
has snapped and the
That's
fishing
right.
rod's broken.
That's right. And you're
Yeah.
like literally trying to spin it back. It's going
Disconnected a
nowhere.
string
It's
or
totally, dude. Oh my God. It's so like we're like, ah, we
yeah.
fucked up, dude. Um,
Yeah.
so we're gonna
Big
end here,
time.
but you're such a lovely human. I want to be friends with you, and let's stay connected. And also,
Oh.
maybe do you have any message? Maybe you want to say to the world out there, anything to yourself, to the kids, to just people.
Sure. Actually, there is a philosopher that I love very much called Alan Watts. I think he moved to California at one point from England. and he
Alan Watts.
Alan
Oh, I
Watts,
love
yeah,
Al.
he's
Yeah,
really good
great.
philosopher.
Yes.
Yeah, and he said that we as humans have this fantastic capacity to plan for the future and to think and plan, but it's very important to enjoy the now as well, the present, because if you plan for a future and it comes and becomes a present, you won't be there because you will be in your mind planning for another future that hasn't yet arrived.
Wow.
And that's quite nice. So sometimes it's just nice to enjoy the now. Actually, I love Alan Watts so much, and
I know.
so good.
So good. But you know, I got sober, and in the sobriety space, they teach you the same thing. Like they just teach you to live, you know, this moment, live in today, one day at a time. Stop looking. I keep telling you, stop looking forward and stop looking backwards. Like it's already done. There's nothing you can really do about that. Why you keep talking about that? You know, and talk about now, right now, and then because you're gonna miss now. Right now is gonna be that. It's you know what I'm saying? So every day means something, and it should mean something to you. So you're a beautiful human, friend, and I really value the fact that
likewise, Buck, very much likewise. Yeah,
wow,
you're so sweet. Yeah,
you give me so much hope.
No,
you do.
Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah,
and that's so important.
It's good. It's the hope that you brought me once. And I'm just really happy to bounce it back to you.
So, you know, and you're also pushing it forward. That, you know, that's called paying it forward. And that's what I've always wanted for this community. We have to take care of each other, and then we keep bouncing it off and paying it forward. And you'll pay it forward to the next generation. And that's how we'll survive without being taken out by the people who are disingenuous.
I hope so.
We will. We will. I have no doubt. I feel it because people like us are stepping up and having these important conversations. So, with that, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Please leave Emmett beautiful comments. You always do, and I really appreciate that so much. And I don't know if Emmett's available to be reached out to, but we'll talk about that off camera, and then I'll let you know. And with that, I'll see you guys all Wednesday on the live. And thanks so much for supporting this channel and helping me bring these beautiful guests on. And have a great rest of your day.